What's immoral but legal? Difficult to cancel gym subscriptions? Please call, email, submit a sonnet in Old English on a papyrus scroll, and wait 90 days, then your membership will be cancelled, if at all. Payday lending. It's one of those things that's not immoral in theory, but very much is in practice. In theory, microlending is supposed to provide a stopgap for people who are struggling with money and get a nasty surprise like the car breaking down or the boiler conking out, and they need some way to pay to fix it. If they are told up front what they are paying back and how much the lender stands to make from the transaction, that's fine. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that in practice. Even if a payday lender is run ethically, it's still a sad fact that being poor is very expensive, and nasty surprises can crop up far more regularly than we realize. Even microdebt acquired in good faith can quickly trap you and swallow you up like quicksand. And as we all know, payday's lenders are rarely run ethically. Firing an old employee who's about to retire and putting an intern who basically works for nothing in his or her place. Withholding medicine from sick people is 100% legal if their insurance provider allows it, which is most of the time. Taking on a 57-year-old for a low-level, unschooled job and then firing him at the end of his probation because you have taken on more teenagers in the meantime. Yeah, I had a boss who did this. It's 100% legal, and yet it made me so angry that I restarted my search for a new job. That poor guy put so much effort into showing his best and it still wasn't enough for that guy. Even the junior managers were angry and didn't believe the claim that the employee just wasn't good enough. Screw that boss. Child marriage. In some states in the south of Mexico, girls under the age of 16 are forced to marry adults in exchange of money for the family. These states together are the majority of voters in favor of the president. Multiple organizations called for a stop of these child selling, but the president said it's their customs and they are in their right to continue. He doesn't want to lose their votes. Drinking and or smoking while you're pregnant. Corporate lobbying. Romanticizing stalking and harassment in movies. As a victim of stalking and domestic abuse for the past 10 years, romance films like Twilight and 50 Shades make me physically ill. There is nothing cute about my ex-boyfriend sitting outside my apartment to watch my bedroom window, trying to break in while I slept because he knew I lived alone, calling me from different numbers and pretending to be other people, harassing my friends and family for updates about me, hacking into my Facebook account to download my photos and read through my private messages, or even the love bombing that preceded all that. It's terrifying. I'm scared for my life. How much you have to pay at the hospital, or how messed up the legal system is. So bad that the US has been brainwashed to think that private medicine is a good system and that socialized medicine is bad. People will defend it until they go blue in the face because they don't want to pay a little more in taxes so a poor person can get stitches if they need it. Corporations buying homes, pricing out the public, and jacking up rental home rates. Hot take. Corporations shouldn't be able to own any real estate that is zoned as residential. Any real estate they do buy should be zoned as commercial. And if people are intended to rent there, it should have a minimum occupancy of at least a couple dozen individual units. Making people to mail a letter to a physical address to unsubscribe from emails. Depending on the circumstances, that's probably illegal, but the FTC tell recipients how to opt out of receiving future email from you. Your message must include a clear and conspicuous explanation of how the recipient can opt out of getting email from you in the future. Craft the notice in a way that's easy for an ordinary person to recognize, read, and understand. Creative use of type size, color, and location can improve clarity. Give a return email address or another easy internet-based way to allow people to communicate their choice to you. You may create a menu to allow a recipient to opt out of certain types of messages, but you must include the option to stop all commercial messages from you. Make sure your spam filter doesn't block these opt-out requests. No term limits in Congress. Don't care if you are Republican or Democrat. Much of our issues would be resolved if this wasn't a thing. Certain kinds of animal breeding. We need to stop with some of these breeds of cats and dogs. You mean those cute golems which can barely breathe, and not at all when exercised, and have their eyes fall out if they sneeze too hard. Yes. Can we stop breeding the kind of humans who do that to them? 2. I don't understand how anyone thinks that's cute. I prefer the cuddly wolf type of dogs. Working breeds are quite okay, since the breed standard is often just like, has 3 to 5 legs, 1 to 3 ears, can hurt sheep and that's it. Romanticizing anything to do with the mafia. Creating the practice of confining an animal to a small crate, so they can't move for almost their entire lives. Such tight environments are a spawning ground for bacteria which can lead to untreated infections, open wounds, and other spreadable diseases. Mothers also accidentally crush their babies during nursing. When confined so tightly, it's a form of torture that most wouldn't wish on their worst enemies, yet it's standard practice in factory farms and carried out on tens of millions of pigs annually. Spotify immediately becomes the bad version when you downgrade, keeping your money for the month, but giving you nothing for it, to try to make you forget to cancel before the next payment. Try to cancel Spotify. You can only do it on a computer, not a phone, and it asks you 3 times in ways that seem like it has been done. So if you click the button and don't scroll down, you are thinking you are finished. On the page you are looking for cancel, but they call it change plan on the first one and cancel after that. Don't ever think you have actually cancelled unless you have gotten the confirmation email. It's fully legal as far as I can tell. It just bilked me out of another $10 a few months back. It's retention optimized. Yeah, right. Leaving a cart out in the parking lot instead of putting it in with the others. Religion. I'm expecting to get downvoted, and I'm not trying to troll. But the things that have been done in the name of religion throughout time are the absolute worst. I've also found in my own life, those who are the most religious are the least moral. It's one of the great mysteries of the world to me. Doing something in the name of a religion and doing something because it's part of a religion are two very different things. I think you're mainly mad at people using religion to excuse their immorality. Being a cheating and lying person in your marriage and then getting 50% of everything in the divorce. And because I know this will get misogynistic comments, I'm female. My ex was a cheating, lying person. It was my house and money that I worked for before, and during our marriage, he contributed very little. Declawing. It's illegal in New York, NJ, some parts of PA, and some parts of TX. Should be so in all 50 states. Train your cat to only scratch their stuff or find them another home. If you don't want to, don't be a lazy pose. Selectively breed farm animals to become a tortured existence genetically designed for profit over well-being and survival. Cut off their genitalia, beaks, etc. without anesthesia. Put them in a cage too small to even turn around in. The process of breeding the animals is very disturbing, might I add. Once they are no longer productive enough, transport them over long distances without food and water to the slaughterhouse. Before the slaughter, stun them. Didn't work. No time to make sure. Just end them on the spot. Squatters' rights laws. You will never convince me otherwise. The fact that we have a term professional squatter should force every state and government body to rewrite these stupid laws that let people basically just steal other people's homes. My aunt is now filing for bankruptcy because squatters got into the house they tried flipping and couldn't sell it because of the damages, and these freeloaders brought kids with them, so they have all sorts of protections from being evicted. 54 years old and homeless because two 20-somethings with 5 kids got into a house she was trying to rent for a fair price in a nice neighborhood, and the piled on taxes she can't afford gave the eyes the opportunity to seize her home, and the rental home as well. Buying a bunch of houses in an area for cheap with cash, and then buying the last one for way over the asking price, so you can drive up the value of the houses you just bought, in order to sell them at a huge profit. Lying on the news. I'll add to this. Instead of stating facts, stating an opinion on facts. Like instead of saying the president raised taxes on gas, you say once again, President Schmudley has stuck it to the little guy by raising the price of gas to the applause of his oil baron friends. Like, just tell us the facts and let us decide what to think of it.